What is up, NFC West football fans, and welcome into another edition of the NFC West Roundtable, powered by BetUS. Week 3 is in the books, and we turn the page to Week 4 as the NFC West Roundtable dives into their predictions of their Week 4 matchups. Let's bring on the boys, Mike, Jesse, Jake, and Brandon. We're about to dive into Week 4, fellas. We're already there. We're almost nearly a quarter of the way through the season. It's crazy how it goes. You're like waiting all year for the season to start. You blink, and oh my God, we're already the first month in. And this division's still up for grabs. We know right now Brandon's Seahawks are at the top at 3-0, a three-way tie down below at 1-2. So it will only continue to get more interesting, including this upcoming week in Week 4. We're going to start with Mike's Arizona Cardinals, who right now on BetUS are, let's double check here, they are a 3.5-point favorite. Despite what the Commanders were able to do on Monday Night Football against the Cincinnati Bengals, that was one of the best rookie performances I have seen in some time from Jaden Daniels, a 38-33 victory over the Bengals. The Cardinals have a loss this past week to the Detroit Lions. They're looking to avenge it at home. They're a 3.5-point favorite. By the way, while we're on BetUS, perfect time to remind you, we have a 150% sign-up bonus going on right now, up to $2,000 on your first deposit. Using the promo code YouTube150, that'll also get you a 125% bonus on your next two deposits after that. All right, so we got a 3.5-point spread right now. That's what the Cardinals are favored at home against the rookie Jaden Daniels and these Washington Commanders who are feeling themselves right now after a big W on Monday Night Football. Mike, I'll go right to you. I'll start with you. Coming off that tough loss to the Detroit Lions, the Commanders are trending up. How do you see this one going down in Arizona?
Yeah, I'm actually really happy that the Commanders actually won because it kind of gave this game a little bit more juice to kind of come into Week 4. The Cardinals had obviously a loss in Week 1, rebounded in Week 2, and then Week 3, another heartbreaker. It's not a heartbreaker, but I mean, it's one of those things. But like this Cardinal team is much better than most people actually want to give credit for. We lost both games by less than a touchdown. So honestly, I think the Arizona Cardinals coming into this game is going to be the best get right game for the Arizona Cardinals, or because there's just so many storylines coming into this game. We got Cliff Kingsbury coming back, the offensive coordinator now for Jaden Daniels coming back to the desert, former head coach for us. So there's a lot of storylines, and it's probably more created by Cardinal fans and the media than it is to this organization, because we've heard Jonathan Gannon come out and say he doesn't really care about all the outside noise. All he wants to do is win. Now, he did actually say on Monday that he was absolutely pissed off. Well, honestly, good. You should be pissed off, because with what we've seen in the offensive performance, we need to see absolutely better in this game. The way I hope this all shakes out is the fact that we need to be able to pressure, right? We need to pressure that rookie quarterback. Now, I get it. It's laughable, right? Because we don't really have good edge rushers, but we did it with Stafford. I get it. They didn't have a good offensive line, but we need to find a way to get back there, right? Either if it's Budda Baker, Kazir White, or maybe even Mac Wilson Sr. There needs to be some sort of way that the Cardinals get back there to rattle the cage of a rookie quarterback. He had a really good performance in Cincinnati. I'm glad they're feeling themselves. And honestly, I seen him a little bit here in ASU, but after when he transferred over to LSU, I was always kind of keeping tabs on him and what he's done. So I hope nothing but the best for him. I really do, but not in this game. I think this is going to be the perfect get-right game for the Arizona Cardinals. This is our third straight home game here in State Farm Stadium. So the way I see this coming out is that we're going to get right. James Conner is going to go toting the rock. We're also going to see Kyler Murray be very, very explosive, because there's a lot of ego. There's a lot of what's the word I'm trying to say? I don't know. There's a lot of enticement to win this game because of Kyler and Cliff and stuff like that. So I see the Cardinals winning this game. I could definitely very well see 27-17 for the Cardinals direction. There's no way I'm ever going to predict another blowout like we did against the Rams. That was an anomaly in my opinion, but I do want to make sure that this Cardinals defense translates to what they did in Week 3 to Week 4. And then this offense needs to figure out their second half woes. So I see the Cardinals winning this game 27-17.
Two very dynamic quarterbacks in this game. Jesse, how do you see it unfolding in Arizona?
And this is a really, really tight game. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. And regardless of what you think of these two quarterbacks, Kyler Murray, the veteran, and the young player, and Jaden Daniels, they are two of the most fun to watch, especially when they're at their best. So this is going to be a lot of fun, a lot of running around, a lot of crazy throws. I'm really looking forward to this one. And I think Adam Peters is showing his worth and how important he was to the 49ers front office. There was so many questions about what he did, what he didn't do. Well, what I can say is getting a chance to run his own team, he clearly knows what the hell he's doing. He's building through the trenches. He's found his quarterback. And long-term, I think Washington is going to be a problem. But this week, I do think the Cardinals win. They are at home, backs against the wall, and the Cliff Kingsbury element, this is something, especially to Kyler Murray. This means something, and I think Kyler's going to play the best that he can possibly play. I think it's going to be super high scoring. I'm going to give it, I'll go 36-30 Cardinals.
Man, sign me up for that. I'm glad you guys brought up this Cliff Kingsbury element. That's certainly something to watch for. You got to think Kyler's motivated. Brandon, how do you see this one going down between the Commanders and the Cardinals?
Yeah, Kingsbury, one of your quintessential coaches of the modern era, who seems to just fail upwards. Wild to watch at times with him. I think the Cardinals were really impressive. Didn't get a chance to talk about it last week by Mike. I think your team played really good against Detroit, and that Detroit came in there as a physical team that makes you bring your hard hat and work. And they met that intensity, I thought, in that football game. It was it's wild to go watch from Jesse, your guys' game, where it's like a Matrix fight, to go to their game over on the other side right afterwards, and it's like a back alley brawl between two drunks, just throwing haymakers at each other. And it was a bit of the difference there. And I think it's impressive to see what Gannon's continued to do there, especially in deference to a guy like Kingsbury and what he did in that same kind of situation. He's got this team playing hard. They don't beat themselves. The Lions just leaned on that running game and the talent of their offensive line as much as anything in that game. They put the 5-man fronts up there with the Sam linebacker to really take the running game away. And I think what it comes down to with Kyler, again, is he needs that running game. He needs that metronome. Yes, he can do stuff on his own too, but he needs the metronome. You remove the metronome, and now he becomes all about the improvisation, because I still maintain while he can do some of the on-time stuff, it's the improvisation that really defines him as a quarterback. And so they took the run away last week. I don't think Washington will be able to do the same, though. They've got those two big fatty defensive tackles down there. They're two former first-round picks down there inside. So it's going to be as much, I think, about how you run to the edges, because I don't think there's going to be much to be found up against LaRon Payne and Jonathan Allen inside. It's how you guys get to the edges in this game that'll determine it. All that being said, it's like Jesse said, these quarterbacks will be running all over the place, throwing the ball down the field, 33-30. I'll give the Cardinals the nod, because you always give 3 points to the home team, I think, and I think that's enough for them to just edge it out there.
Jake, how do you see this one shaking up?
Yeah, you guys had some great points. I think looking at this, the dynamic between the two, the quarterback and the former head coach, Cliff Kingsbury, is going to be really interesting. But, one thing I found really funny is how, this is actually my sleeper team, by the way, Washington. I didn't have them making the playoffs, but I had them going 9-8 and just missing. Was very high on this team coming in. I thought Peters did a great job assembling. And honestly, Dan Quinn just does not get enough credit. Dallas misses him to all hell. So looking at this, I think Jaden Daniels, the way he played against a Lou Anarumo defense, I understand they're not playing the way that they should be playing, but I couldn't believe my eyes. He did not look like it was too much for him. So I don't think it's really going to be an issue going up against Jonathan Gannon's defense at all. I think he'll be able to throw it all over the yard, run all over the yard, what have you. Also really encouraged by the offensive line play. They gave up like 6 pressures from, the Bengals. And that's a really, really tough front when you talk about all the guys that they have there. But yeah, I'm actually going to go a different route here. I'm going to go with Washington. I'll probably have a different pick, later on the week. I'm going to keep going back and forth on this game. This has potentially be the most exciting game of the week by far.
Yeah.
And it's just two athletic quarterbacks that just can play backyard football for days. I'm going to take the Commanders here. I'm going to take them 38-34.
Let's go to the 1 p.m. window. And I got to tell you, fellas, do my eyes deceive me here? The Chicago Bears are a 3-point favorite against Jake's LA Rams. Make that make sense. I would love to hear an explanation behind it, but regardless, that's the line right now. The Bears are a 3-point home favorite against the Rams, coming off of a huge victory, an improbable victory against the San Francisco 49ers this past weekend. Jesse, I'll start with you on this one. How do you see this shaking up? Because to me, that 3-point spread in favor of the Bears does not make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, there's this like profound love for Caleb Williams, and I don't understand it. I really don't. Caleb Williams might turn out to be really good, but I don't see it. I didn't see it when he came out. I don't see it now. he's going to struggle. The defense is good. I will say the Bears defense is good, but there's nothing that the Bears are going to do that Matthew Stafford hasn't seen. Now, there is a possibility of a letdown here. The Rams just had a big win in division, comeback win. That I could see as a possibility. But ultimately, this comes down to a rookie quarterback who makes a ton of mistakes versus the best quarterback in the NFC. And I understand that the Bears have a lot of weapons and the defense is good and all the things. I don't care. Give me the Rams 23-20.
Brandon, how about you? How do you see this one going down?
Yeah, I look at that as a ridiculous line. Is that a 10 a.m. game? Are they trying to build in the 10 a.m. aspect a little bit there? Because I don't see how that makes up any sense to me whatsoever. Bears got a semi-quality defense. It's got some parts there. They're not going to, I think, keep Stafford completely under lockdown. And I do think with Caleb, I have a little bit of a higher upside to him than Jesse does. I don't think he's anywhere near the hype he was being given, and a guy that's really reliant a bit on that improvisation stuff too, where he's not able to work on script on time. And I think the Rams defense will take advantage of that. So I think that this is a pretty comfortable win by the Rams when it's all said and done. They're going to run the ball because they're still light the receivers. So they're going to want to lean on that side of it, but they're going to freak Caleb out with those twists and stunts that they ran at the 49ers all game. They're going to throw that same thing at Caleb, and he's going to freak out watching guys flash across like that and probably start looking down rather than look up. And he's just been tough to watch too to start. I will say as well, let's also throw it, as the guy who was the former OC with Seattle last year that can attest to his shortcomings, Waldron is not it. That's another part of this puzzle where a quarterback being helped or hurt or hindered by their OC, the guy doesn't know how to use pre-snap motion, doesn't know how to target the middle of the field, doesn't know how to use the outside run game, doesn't know how to just stay committed to the running game. He's got the guy throwing way too much out there. So there's a couple things to me that are problematic with that Chicago team. Offensive line's in piss poor shape too, I think, at the end of the day. And so I think you guys win this comfortably by 10 points, like 23-13 or something.
Jake, how disrespected are you by this line, and how is it going to reflect in the game on Sunday?
Yeah, I don't understand the line at all, but to be fair, the Rams needed everything to go their way to beat the 49ers. So I think that's kind of part of it. And if Caleb Williams didn't throw like 360 yards and had his usual 87, the Rams are probably favored. So I think a lot of people are excited because Caleb Williams, something clicked and he started throwing deep down the field and was, more comfortable and confident against this Colts team that he almost rallied them back and stole that game. So I watched a lot of that. I think when you look at the maturation of Tyreek Stevenson and Kyler Gordon in the secondary, you have the best cornerback, in my opinion, right now in the league, in Jalen Johnson. So I think when you look at that secondary, you got the linebacker play, with TJ Edwards, and up front you definitely have some guys, Montez Sweat. Daniel Hardy's a former Ram, so he'll be in the mix as well. But one of you, I think it was Brandon that mentioned Waldron. It was Brandon that mentioned Waldron. Waldron came from the Rams. So I love the idea here. Going into this, Sean McVay knows everything about what they're going to do, everything. And they've already had experience going against some mobile quarterbacks, Brock Purdy, Kyler Murray, not Jared Goff, but the 2 of the 3 games they've gone up against mobile quarterbacks. So I like the Rams to win this game 30-20. I think what they're going to be able to do is pressure Caleb Williams. They pressured Brock Purdy. They pressured Kyler Murray. What I will say is this: they really need to finish sacks. I think this week they get more this week than they have in the past, because the common misconception is when a rookie quarterback has really good mobility, it's just assumed, oh, he can run around. But it's really different just running and holding on to the football in college than it is in the NFL. Because Caleb, what I've noticed, will literally, his eyes will drop. And at that point, you're done. You're dead in the water. And Kyler has been playing the game way too long for that to happen. And Brock Purdy was spectacular off script against the Rams. And honestly, Brock Purdy was spectacular in that game. He doesn't get enough credit for it. So I think when you look at that going into this game, Caleb Williams, his lack of experience, although albeit a little bit more experience in week 4 and being at home, I think will help. And I don't think the Rams defense has been great, but you said it. Matthew Stafford, it's not like he hasn't seen this before. There's no defense out there he hasn't seen. There's one specific defensive coordinator that has given him fits, and he is not in Chicago. So that's the reality here. I think 30-20, and maybe it's just wishful thinking, but I think Tutu Atwell is going to have a big game.
By the way, as you could probably tell, Mike had to leave us. He had an obligation, but he wanted us to know He's got Chicago winning this football game. So
I'm not shocked.
I like how he leaves on that one. He's going to leave out the door and then like just put that on the wall as he's leaving. Like he's gaslighting over there is what he's doing.
I guess somebody had to do it. Somebody had to be the lone wolf to take the Bears. He'll be the one to do it. The 49ers are looking to bounce back after their loss to the Rams, and they have a perfect opportunity to do it. They are going into the football game against the New England Patriots on Sunday afternoon as a 10-point home favorite. People thought New England might be trending up a bit after how they looked against your Seahawks, Brandon, beating the Bengals in week 1. Boy, did they come back down to earth crashing the way that they looked against the Jets last week. So they're a 10-point dog against the San Francisco 49ers. Brandon, I'll start with you here. How do you see this one going down between the Niners and the Pats?
We broke them, Jesse. You're welcome. It's a Patriots team that are who we thought, let's do the Dennis Green. We are who we thought they were coming into the year. The Bengals win was a big win for them. Good for them on that. Mayo's got them relatively bought in, but this is an undermanned squad, an offensive line that is in tough shape, is going to allow that Niner team even to, I know there's been somewhat problem generating pressure, but it won't be a problem this next week. I guarantee you on that. The Niners are going to have to stop the run. And I think that this, with losing now Hargrave in there and with Malik Collins giving, I think, Jesse, would be fair to say, mixed results a little bit, maybe more giving you the pass rush than he is a run stuffer. And we didn't talk a lot about it, but the Niners have had to kind of retool this defensive tackle position. And meanwhile, you got DeForest Buckner out there balling, but DeForest Buckner out and no Solomon Thomas out and no Eric Armstead out and no Javon Kinlaw moving on. And they've been trying to kind of get that interior set. And I think it's so important because of the nature of that scheme. There's not a lot of teams that rock that wide 9 with a front 4 in the league. They're very few and far between because it's hard to do. And you got to have the dogs up front. And I know they got the guys on the edges, and I even like Floyd to eventually get going for him. But that's where you got to be careful in this game if you're the Niners, I think, with Ramondre, because they will hit you up in the middle. And they got after us in that game too. And Gibson behind him as the number 2 back is not chopped liver. But Niners are going to be pissed. Niners are going to be angry. They're hearing the calls out there that they're done this year. This is a 14-point win all day. They probably put up 30 points, 30-13, 30-10, something like that.
Jake, how do you see it going down?
I definitely see a pathway to that, but I don't know. I think the 49ers are going to win this game, but I wasn't, overly impressed with their ability to finish it out. And, Jawan Jennings was really the bright spot of that team. Brandon Ayuk doesn't look like Brandon Ayuk. Ronnie Bell should not be out there over Jacob Cowing. If they don't use Jacob Cowing, then I don't really know what to make of the offense. Brock Purdy can sling it all he wants and look as great as he does, but I do have concerns because if they put Christian Gonzalez, he could wipe out Jennings in this game. Christian Gonzalez is a fantastic corner. And then, you look at Jonathan Jones, I think he's underrated as well. And they got some guys, up front and Dietrich Wise and Josh Uche and, Keon White, who's played at a high level this year. Looks like he's really taking another step. So I do see if, the Patriots have a lot, with their run game. If they can get that going, they can kind of play the time of possession battle and just kind of keep the 49ers on the sidelines. I think the Hargrave injury is really bad. They were already having a hard time stopping the run, losing Hargrave now. I wouldn't be surprised if they made a trade. I wouldn't be surprised if they go out and get somebody because that is a big loss. But I'm really curious because I think this is an interesting matchup. We're going to find out how good, not really how good the 49ers are, but I think how good the Patriots are. That game against the Jets could have been chalked up to kind of the same thing with the Rams and Cardinals. You never know how a divisional game's going to go, kind of got away from them. And they were really, really injured on the offensive line. Sidney Sow was out, and then their left tackle was out as well. So they were starting a rookie Caden Wallace for the first time all year. So I look at this game and I think, 49ers are going to win, but it might not be the blowout that 49ers fans want. And so I think that this is going to be looked at as kind of a disappointment, but the reality is you just got to win. It's any given Sunday. So I think the 49ers take care of business to a degree. I'm going to go 24-16.
All right, Jesse, talk to me. Bounce back spot for the Niners. Do they get it done, and in what kind of fashion, if so?
They better win, and they better win big. I don't care. I mean, this is a statement game. I just saw my Twitter. Deommodore Lenoir is already talking trash, basically saying that the Rams are garbage and they got lucky. It's like, bro, I'm so tired of these guys. Debo last week said that they've been the best team for 4 years. I love my Niners, but these guys talking the way that they are, they better back it up. You better back it up. 30-13. Anything less, I'm disappointed in this team. There's not much else to say. Talk your talk, but go out and walk the walk. I'm frankly just kind of tired of it.
Clean sweep, by the way. Mike let us know in the chat. He's got the 49ers taking the Pats. All right, you know what time it is, boys. Dun, 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 dun. Let's go to Monday Night Football. One of the games of the weekend. We talked about it at length on the earlier episode in the week, recapping week 3. We were talking about how big of a game this is going to be on Monday Night Football between the Seattle Seahawks and the Detroit Lions. Right now, over on BetUS, the line for this Monday Night Football game is 3.5. The Detroit Lions, a 3.5-point home favorite, hosting the undefeated Seattle Seahawks. Jake, I'll start with you. Maybe the game of the weekend here. How does it go down between the Hawks and the Lions?
I think it goes down with a Seahawks win. I think this Detroit team has turned into more of a defensive-minded team, and I think that plays into the Seahawks game plan. I think they're going to come out reckless abandon, 70-plus pressures in the first 3 weeks. I think Jared Goff's going to have no time to throw the football. Jared Goff, remember that pick 6 that he had, Brandon knows, to help the Seahawks win that game. Seahawks have had success at Ford Field, and I continued. I imagine that they're going to have that, moving forward. I guess really what I want to see is, can Geno take care of the football? He had 2 turnovers against the Dolphins, 2 interceptions. That is the only thing that, in my opinion, and I'm not trying to say, because Mike said the last show, I don't think the Lions are a bad team. I think they're still a good football team. I just think that they could be the best team in the league if Jared Goff was playing at the level he was last year, and I don't think he is. So looking at them right now, becoming more of a defensive-minded team, the one thing I'll say is their secondary is opportunistic, but it's not shut down. So does Geno take advantage of that? Because if you do, then you could really have a day. I mean, we saw, like Baker won the game. I mean, you could still throw on this secondary, but it's the opportunistic aspect of it that can get you into trouble. So if Geno protects the football, they're able to run it, and it's not easy to run against the Lions, I'll be honest with you. But if they're able to run it, that's double check of the box there. I don't even need them to run it, and I think Seattle wins as long as they don't turn over the football.
Jesse, who takes it? The Hawks or the Lions?
Man, this is a really, really good game. This can be a fun one to watch. The Lions right now, with the injuries that Seattle has up the middle defensively, the Lions are missing Ragnow, most likely. He's going to try to play through it, but they're probably going to make him rest and try to figure out something with that partially torn pec. So you've got an even matchup there. You got Nwosu, I think, should be back this week. I know they're going to put him through some practices. I assume he plays, especially because it's a Monday night game. So that's going to help. However, I think this game is going to come down to 2 teams that are going to try to run the ball and protect their quarterback. And as good as the Seahawks defense has been, if there is a weakness, you can run the ball on them. They're about middle of the league as far as yards per carry. I think they give up like 4.4 yards per carry. And then you've got the Lions, who I think are the 3rd best defense in yards per carry. So because of that, I'm going to give the edge to the team that I think is going to be able to consistently run the ball. I don't know if Kenneth Walker's back. So now you're going to rely on Charbonnet. You've got 2 really good backs for the Detroit Lions against a team that is susceptible to being ran on a little bit. And I think ultimately they'll be able to win at home. I think if you can run the ball and be at home and limit those attempts from Goff, that should be a recipe for success. So I will go 23-20 Lions.
All right, Brandon, the question everybody wants an answer to. Do your Seattle Seahawks go 4-0 on Monday night?
You got in there, as Jake said, won the last 2 years. You had a scoregami game, 48-45, and then a 37-31 last year that you were able to win at the end, I think, in overtime. So chances are that there's going to be, I think, some good scoring in this game on the surface of it. I think Jesse's points about the running game is a salient one. Goff came out through 53 times, not last week, but the prior week. The Lions came back against Arizona and doubled back down and said, no, we're going to run the ball. Let's recommit to this 2-to-1 run to pass ratio in that game against the Cardinals. And you had success with it. And I think that carries forward. You're down your two best defensive tackles coming into this game with Leonard Williams and Byron Murphy. So you're weaker up the middle. And I think that the Lions are going to know that. And off the success of what they had with the Cardinals, continue to lean on that in this game. And they have the two quality backs that they can keep hammering you with. So I think it's just a wear down point that they try to lean on with our defense. Can we get opportunistic? Can we get Goff to move off his spot? That's the big key here in the game. I think you'll give up your running yards. That's going to be there. But can you have your moments where you force Goff to make a bad decision by forcing him to move, by getting the pressure in there? I would hope so, but it's hard to say, because if they can lean on that running game like they did against the Cardinals, and it is our weakness, I think that's a valid point so far, then I think it's a little bit of a harder run. So this is a game that comes right down to the line for me. That's really the big determining part, I think, above all else. Offensively, we'll do enough. We'll score our points. Defensively, we'll do some, but I think it's that running game ends up being enough to win out, just enough for Detroit. So I'll actually give Detroit the slight nod on this, 30-27. Hard to beat a team 3 times in a row over 3 years. That's a quality team over that period. I'm not talking about a bad team, but it's just, I think it's hard to do. I think they're going to be very motivated to get this W as well.
And Mike's with you, by the way. He thinks the Lions are going to win as well.
I got to pick a scoregami here. It's only right. 22-11. Let's get it. I want to see
scoregami.
I loved it.
I want to see it. Let's
Scoregami's
make it happen.
fun.
Yeah, I gotta get that sign that they always show. Like we root for scoregami in this house. I got to get one of those up on the wall. It's the best time you hop on. All right, there you have it, folks. Week 4 picks are locked in, and we can't wait to dive in and see what the NFC West has in store for us this upcoming week. On your way out the door, hit the like button for us if you could. Make sure to hit the subscribe button so that you'll be notified about the Week 4 recap episode we have coming your way, where we'll talk about all of the games we just predicted on this episode. Also, take advantage of that 150% sign-up bonus up to $2,000 on your first deposit with the promo code YouTube150 on BetUS. That'll also get you 125% bonus on your next 2 deposits after that. For Jesse, Brandon, Jake, and Mike, I'm your host, Z-Bot. Thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of the NFC West Roundtable, and we look forward to seeing you on the next one. Enjoy Week 4, everybody.